Welcome to the first installment of Netflix Cringe, Christmas edition.
Say hello to the Netflix Holiday Collection.
Because Netflix has turned its festive hat around and cranked out not one, not two, but 4 shiny new Christmas rom-coms for 2024. Each more nonsensical than the last, and I need to talk about them. The former king of prestige streaming is now fully embracing its Hallmark era. No shade to Hallmark though, they've mastered the art of predictable holiday schlock. You know the formula. Small town girl, big city guy, a snowstorm, and baked goods that'll solve all of their problems. It's cheesy, it's cozy, and it's unapologetically predictable. They know what they're doing, and they do it well, so you kinda gotta respect that. Netflix, on the other hand, doesn't know what standard it wants to set for their original content. This leaves the audience never knowing what the quality will be every time we press play on the latest and often not greatest film or show that randomly pops up on the platform, since there's no rhyme or reason as to when new stuff will drop. Will it be Squid Game level gold or hot Frosty cringe? Cue Christmas time.
It needs more rom-com.
Yes. Sadly, Hollywood waved bye-bye to top-quality adult-centered Christmas movies back in the 2010s. And what we're left with is a crazy amount of Hallmark movies. Fun and frightening fact, in 2024, Hallmark expanded its holiday programming to a total of 47 new Christmas movies, so Netflix still has a long way to go, but here's where their 4 new movies come in. They don't have to make sense, but they do have to connect to their other Christmas movies in what has come to be known as the Netflix Christmas Cinematic Universe, where some have fun little Easter eggs, or some just straight up get shown Inception style within another movie.
I know who I am.
That is so funny. That looks just like a girl I went to high school with.
Going in release order, first up is Meet Me Next Christmas, starring Christina Milian as Layla, a woman whose personality is entirely defined by her obsession with the a cappella group Pentatonics. It's her thing, not judging, but that's what we gotta work with here. And who doesn't love a good Pentatonics Christmas jam, but this movie really wants you to believe they didn't peak like 10 years ago and are still somehow massively relevant, but it gets better. You see, Layla's Christmas love life journey kicks off on Christmas Eve with a meet cute in an airport lounge where she bumps into rando number 1, who totally won't be relevant later, and handsome dude number 2, James. They vibe, they flirt, and wouldn't you know it, James, well, he just happens to share her love for Pentatonics too. This film is essentially a 90 minutes Pentatonics commercial with the band popping up more often than Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas in December. Something about this kind of reminded me of the Spice Girls movie, except they replaced the Spice Girls with an a cappella group and sprinkled in some holiday cliches for good measure.
Oh my god, I don't believe it!
Unfortunately for James, Layla reveals that she has a boyfriend, but my man, he still decides to shoot his shot and is like, hey, if we're both single next year, how about we meet at the annual Pentatonics Christmas concert in New York? Romantic, right? Sure, but plot twist, they don't exchange numbers or full names because logic doesn't live here. Fast forward a year and Layla's boyfriend cheats on her.
Wow.
Shocker.
So naturally, she decides fate wants her to reunite with James at the Pentatonics concert. But, oh no, it's sold out. So naturally, as one does in 2024, she hires a professional, Teddy, a concierge/romantic understudy in much need of a professional win, to help her on a wild ticket chase that basically turns into Craigslist side quest the movie. Apparently, this is set in an alternate reality where services like StubHub, SeatGeek, and any other dozen ticket resale apps don't exist, and where Pentatonics is so huge, we're talking T-Swift level popularity, that it's impossible to get a ticket to their concerts. Yeah. Totally believable. But hold up. Wouldn't you guessed it? Teddy. He's kind of perfect, he's charming, he's helpful, and literally spends his entire Christmas Eve trying to make her happy. They enter a lip-sync battle in one of the more amusing side quests involving his cousin who's been blacklisted from entering but agrees to coach them to victory in one night so they can win the big prize, which, you guessed it, Pentatonics tickets.
Prepare for your transformation.
Now, to be fair, the chemistry between Layla and Teddy is actually pretty believable and way more real than any connection she had with What's-His-Face, who honestly is a plot device in a scarf. And whoa, what is this? The biggest twist of all. Teddy was rando number 1 that she bumped into first in the airport lounge before she met the Pentatonics-loving James. By the time Layla finally makes it to the concert with the band following their journey and gifting them with a pair of tickets, she's faced with the big decision. cling to the idea of James, or realize that Teddy's been the right guy all along. Of course, it ends exactly how you think it will, and so yeah, meet me next Christmas. It's predictable, corny, illogical, and probably made on a budget of whatever Netflix had lying around after making Wednesday. It's a made-for-TV holiday movie to a T, and not the worst thing I've ever seen. It's supposed to make you say, this is dumb, but they cute. And for that, it sort of delivers. Or as Netflix would say, keep streaming until you forget the plot entirely. And this brings us to the natural next step in the Christmas movie evolution, the Thirst Trap Christmas movie cinematic universe. It's Hallmark, but hornier. Netflix is all in, and I'm both impressed and deeply concerned.
Oh, if the girls could see me now.
Okay.
We're talking about films where the snowmen are ripped, the handymen have abs, and every guy looks like he got rejected from a Calvin Klein holiday campaign for being too ripped. Like seriously, it's kind of unsettling how chiseled and smooth this man is. Because Hallmark has been coasting on the same plot for decades. Meanwhile, some Netflix exec was out there like, what if we made our own Frosty the Snowman? But wait for it, he's hot. And everyone was just like, genius, give that person a raise. But here's the thing, Netflix knows their audience. They're like, people will watch anything. Like, literally anything, with a Christmas tree and a chiseled jawline. So, why don't we combine both and rake in the holiday thirst views? And honestly, based on the next two films in the lineup, Hot Frosty and The Merry Gentleman, I think they might be onto something. Because let's get real, no one's here for the plot. So, Hot Frosty, the movie that asks, what if Frosty the Snowman was a sentient ice cube with abs? This absolute masterpiece follows Kathy, played by Hallmark superstar and fetch queen Lacey Chabert, as a small-town widow who runs a diner. Kathy's struggling to hold it together, her house is literally falling apart around her, and she's constantly serving coffee to people who somehow never pay. Until one day a magical scarf lands in her possession, and that night she decides that a perfectly sculpted snowman needs it more than she does. Now, if I got a scarf and was struggling to stay warm in my own house, my first thought wouldn't be, yeah, let's slap this bad boy on a snowman, but Kathy, she's built different. And whoever carved this perfectly formed snowman in the first place, that is not important. So Kathy drapes the scarf around him and boom, he's transformed into Jack, a chiseled, clueless himbo with the emotional maturity of Olaf from Frozen.
Samantha? Hi there!
Jack is like a toddler in the body of an incredibly vascular personal trainer who's been sucked dry to the point where he looks like a dehydrated SpongeBob.
I don't need it. I don't need it. I don't need it. I need it!
I see what they were going for, but it's hard to believe that Ted from Schitt's Creek looks like this now. I mean, looking at him in real life, it's a crime they made him look like this in the movie, but I guess I see what they were going for. Naturally, he comes into the world naked, like a gender-swapped version of the born sexy yesterday trope, and not only can the scarf bring him to life, but it can stay strategically glued to his junk as he wanders around like a newborn baby deer until he falls through a hilariously fake CGI window and adopts the name Jack off the clothes he stole, and they really play it fast and loose with how much he knows versus how much he needs to learn about the world. Cue the montage of Jack learning how to fix stuff by watching TV and avoiding hot food. So after accepting that Jack is a real boy, he starts helping Kathy around the diner and becoming an expert at fixing everything that's broken in her life after the death of her husband from cancer, which is obviously the best way to get a snowman involved in the plot. Roof's leaking? Snowman fixes it. It's like a fixer-upper episode, but with 80% more frostbite. Not to mention how hot and bothered all the older ladies are, and how incredibly crass they are about objectifying this poor guy in what is some of the most over-the-top horny lady scenes I've ever seen. You definitely couldn't get away with this if the roles were reversed. But here's the catch. You see, Jack can't stay in human form forever because plot reasons. His magical snowman body can't survive warm temperatures, so their romance is literally on thin ice. Kathy has to keep Jack from melting, keep him from getting arrested, all while inevitably falling in love, because sure, why not? It's amazing how easily everyone in town just accepts that he's actually a snowman come to life.
You just buy that he's a snowman?
Even her doctor friend, who just shrugs it off, like, oh well, it's the magic of Christmas. The movie ends with a heartfelt speech, an entire town believing this man is a snowman come to life, with no evidence whatsoever, A fake-out death scene cured by true love's kiss and just enough CGI snowflakes to cover up the fact that you wasted 2 hours of your life. And that's Hot Frosty. Does it make sense? No. Is it entertaining? Debatable. But if you were entertained, then good for you. I will give it credit for one thing. You can tell the actors were having fun, and sincerity really jumps off the screen. And that's gotta count for something, if nothing else. Next up, The Merry Gentleman. This one really swings for the logic fences. Meet Ashley, a Broadway dancer who gets the boot from her dream gig for being too old and retreats to her quaint hometown at Christmas. How exactly is it supposed to make sense that she was employed by a Christmas show all year long? I don't know, but the film doesn't want you to think about it too hard. She's fired, her life is over, and we're supposed to accept it. Once home, she discovers her parents' bar is on the brink of closing down unless they can raise $30,000 by Christmas. Her solution? Organize an all-male Christmas-themed strip show to save the day. Obviously. Because when life surrounds you with a few random hunky men, you enlist them to take off their clothes for every woman they know in their small folksy town with no monetary benefit to them. Chad Michael Murray of One Tree Hill fame plays Luke, a handyman with abs chiseled by the gods and a reluctance to disrobe. This was surely a calculated move to turn up the nostalgia meter for most millennial women and prove that men over 40 really do age like fine wine. Although they might want to lay off the hair bleach next time. After some convincing, he joins the merry band of strippers, which includes the bartender, a cab driver, a customer that is surprisingly in good shape for a man of his age who spends all of his time in a bar, and Ashley's own brother-in-law to bring holiday cheer and pecs to the masses of women who live in this small town and have enough disposable income to get them to their goal. It's like the Monty met a Hallmark movie and had a slightly awkward love child. As Ashley and Luke rehearse for the big show, they bond over choreography, mistletoe, and saving the bar for Christmas. The grand finale features Luke and his fellow performers executing a striptease to an EDM remix of God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen. And yes, they fall for each other, blah blah blah. Ashley decides to stay home, blah blah blah. There's no mention to how they plan to keep the bar open past this grand goal, but that's a problem for another movie. Overall, The Merry Gentleman is a lackluster romp that combines small-town logic with a good old dose of male objectification, all wrapped up in a horny yet weirdly wholesome PG bow. Seriously, despite the ridiculous amount of gyrating dance scenes, this movie ends up being incredibly sexless. And contrary to what men might think and what this movie wants you to believe, male strippers usually come off as way more funny than sexy.
Hey, I've been shaking my booty longer than you've been alive, kid.
Take it from someone who's been to one of those Thunder from Down Under shows, it was practically a comedy. Now, I'm not saying every Christmas movie needs to be high art, but think back to when we got films that took love seriously. They were heartfelt, well-written stories with ensemble casts, emotional depth, and this is the key, real plots. Meanwhile, Netflix is over here saying, what if Christmas, but make it sexy? And people are watching it. And while we don't have exact numbers for these types of movies yet, I can guarantee the algorithm is thriving on lonely moms and bored 20-somethings. But look, Netflix, I get it. You figured out that you can slap a Santa hat on a six-pack and call it a day. And honestly, good for you. But maybe, just maybe, we could mix in a little more depth next time. But if you're looking for a holiday movie that will make you cringe, dance, and question your life choices, The Merry Gentleman is streaming now on Netflix. Enjoy responsibly. This brings us to the grand finale, Our Little Secret. Lindsay Lohan's returned to the Netflix Christmas lineup for the second year in a row. And as an elder millennial, I'm loving Lindsay Lohan's comeback. She looks happier than ever, and everyone seems to be rooting for her. Even if that means watching a silly little Christmas movie that is trying extra hard to convince the audience that the two leads have any chemistry whatsoever. She plays Avery, a business consultant who's about to have the most awkward Christmas ever for something that's really no big deal and is the lamest secret ever. After a bit of cute animated backstory, we begin in 2014 after Avery's mom has died and her best friend turned boyfriend, Logan, played by Ian Harding, aka Creepy Ezra Fitz from Pretty Little Liars, is heartbroken over her decision to leave her life and him behind for a job in London. She's running away from her feelings and he's collateral damage. He drunk proposes, she says no, they get in a huge fight, and smash cut to 10 years later. She's now dating Cameron, a self-absorbed crypto bro, and is on her way to meet his family for the holidays. But plot twist. Cameron's sister Cassie is dating Avery's ex, Logan. And this is where the secret in Our Little Secret comes in. Instead of revealing that they know each other and dated in the past, Avery lies to the family and acts like she's never met him. Logan tries to come out with it, but Avery shuts him down again. When he finally corners her to ask her why she lied, she says she didn't want the family to imagine them doing stuff. You know, it's not like two grown-ass adults in their 30s would have a past. It snowballs from there, with Avery being hellbent on getting Cameron's overbearing mother in a standout performance by Kristen Chenoweth to like her. They're sneaking around, trying to keep their secret, but this is a rom-com, so you know that's not going to last. Throw in Cameron's gorgeous ex-girlfriend Sophie popping up, her dad played by Tim Meadows in a cute reunion between the two Mean Girls actors, and you've got a recipe for holiday chaos. The secrets and lies Avery keeps trying to stay hidden are the most uninteresting and inconsequential I've ever seen from a big secret type movie. It's not like they killed a guy together, a la I Know What You Did Last Summer. Not to mention that Avery's struggle to get her potential mother-in-law to like her is bound to come crashing down when her boyfriend finally finds out she's been lying the whole time. Other hijinks ensue, like her eating a bunch of weed gummies from the Loser Brothers jacket, leading to her becoming high in church. But it's okay because she figures out a way to make scripture fun for the young folk.
Celebrate good times, come on!
She then gets the munchies and eats a bunch of the mom's cookies meant for a cookie swap, blames it on the tiny dog, and has to lie her way out of needing to get the poor thing's stomach pumped. Lindsay Lohan is doing the best she can with the material she's given, but really it's Kristen Chenoweth that steals the scenes as Erica, the overbearing matriarch who's more interested in her never-aging place in the family portrait, her cookie recipe, and talking down to her husband than her kids' happiness. Tim Meadows and Judy Reyes add some flavor as the family friends, but they're mostly there to react to the madness and play a bizarre role in the final act when it's revealed that Tim Meadows' wife has been having an affair with Cassie and Cameron's dad, whose name I honestly can't remember, which leads to all the secrets spilling out at once, including Avery's boyfriend cheating on her with his childhood ex, and it all ends with the four couples going their separate ways. But this is a cheesy Christmas movie after all, so it can't end like that. You see, there's a boring subplot involving Logan's career and Avery helping him land a big deal with Tim Meadows' character, Avery buying her childhood home, and realizing she's still in love with Logan. And wouldn't you know it, these two end up with each other despite her knowing his ex-wife was cheating on him with her husband, and she didn't say anything despite the two couples being close friends, because that would totally happen. Our Little Secret is the most polished of the four films. That's not really saying much. It's silly, charming, and just heartfelt enough to work. Plus, seeing Lohan back in action is a holiday gift in itself. I dare say that the Christmas Switch or Christmas Prince movies have way more rewatchability than these, but they'll certainly help you pass the time. Remember the good old days of holiday rom-coms? Films like The Holiday, Love Actually, and The Family Stone. They offered a blend of heartfelt storytelling, great cast, and genuine emotion. In contrast, Netflix 2024 lineup seems to prioritize aesthetics over substance. They're chaotic, cringy, and utterly forgettable. While there's nothing wrong with a bit of festive eye candy, one can't help but wonder if we're sacrificing depth for abs. And if they're not careful, they'll end up crossing into the Lifetime made-for-TV Christmas movie arena, where quality really goes to die. These movies won't go down in history as classics, but they'll make okay background noise while you're wrapping presents. Whether it's shirtless bartenders, magical snowmen, or Lindsay Lohan high in church, there's something here for everyone. Or at least for everyone who loves ridiculous holiday rom-coms. So Netflix, while we appreciate the scenic views, maybe sprinkle in a bit more old-fashioned holiday magic next time. Or at least a plot that doesn't melt faster than a snowman in July. So here's to Netflix, the true MVP of watchable nonsense. Merry Christmas, and remember, they make these movies forgettable on purpose, so you'll keep coming back year after year only to ask yourself, have I watched this before? Until next time, stay cultured.